Hi everyone. Today we will be making the Where's Waldo server book by Serendipity Patterns. This is a beginner-friendly pattern and comes together very quickly. It features a credit card pocket, 2 slip pockets for cash tips, a slot for an order receipt book or guest checkbook, and an optional pen loop. Let's get started. Once you've read through the pattern and printed all of the pattern pieces, you can go ahead and cut everything. So let's go over all of the pieces. We have our main exterior. So I'm using vinyl. You could also use cork or leather for this. And then you're going to cut the inner facing out. I'm using Decovillite, and you cut this at the dashed lines, and this will be fused to the back of this piece. For the left and right pockets, if you're using directional print, you want to make sure that you position them the right way if you want to have a particular pattern placement on them. And then for the book slot, this line right here, don't cut this yet. We're going to fuse the book slot interfacing to the back of this first, and then we'll cut that line after. So hold off on doing that. You'll need your pocket linings. I'm using waterproof canvas for my lining. For the pocket linings, if you're using a directional print, you also want to make sure to mirror that. I'm using solid pink, so I don't need to worry about that. And then the main lining. And the main lining has these little flaps right here. You're also going to need your firm stabilizer. I'm using cardboard. You could also use chipboard. I just used some cardboard from some shipping boxes that I had laying around the house. And use your non-fabric scissors to cut the cardboard. And the last things you'll need are the elastic. If you're going to be doing a pen loop, I'm using 1-inch wide elastic, and your clear vinyl for the card slot pocket. A few other supplies that we'll need are a 1/4-inch double-sided tape, a pressing cloth for when we are fusing the interfacing to our vinyl. This helps to protect the vinyl. I just used a scrap piece of cotton fabric, non-fabric scissors for cutting the cardboard or the chipboard, a ruler. I'm using my 1x6 ruler. This one comes in very handy. And some wander clips. A couple other things. A rotary cutter for trimming the edges down and also cutting that book slot open. And a hole punch. I have 2 types here. I have the rotary hole punch, where you can select the different sizes. And I also have the screw punch, where you push down. So whichever hole punch you want to use, that's fine. The last thing is completely optional. This is for edge painting if you're deciding to cover the edges of your vinyl or cork or leather. I'm going to apply a base coat first and then some color. I'm adding pink to mine as for a little pop of color. And then the applicator. This will be rolled along the edge. Let's go ahead and attach the interfacing. So I'll be using my iron, and on my iron board, I'm going to press the Decovillite to the back of the main exterior, leaving a 1/4-inch gap around the edge. And for the right pocket, I'm going to place the book slot interfacing 1/2 inch down from the top edge. So, yep, this is the right side, and I'm going to put it 1/2 inch down from the top edge and center it. I'm clipping it in place, then I'm going to go ahead and iron it, and I'll be using my pressing cloth over it between the Decovillite and the iron so I don't damage my vinyl. Next, take your right pocket paper pattern, and we're going to punch the holes just on the paper and cut the line using your rotary cutter or a box cutter, and then we'll transfer that onto the vinyl. Now that I have those holes punched and I've cut that little slot there, I can go ahead and transfer it to my right pocket piece with the interfacing attached. So I'm going to use this one here. For step 4, we're going to mark the pen loop placement and also apply edge paint. Now both of these are optional, so I'm using a 1-inch wide elastic for my pen loop. We're not going to attach it at this step, we're just going to mark the placement for it. So first, flip your main exterior so the wrong side is facing up, and grab the right pocket, and you're going to flip it so the wrong side is also facing up. And you want to measure 3 inches down, and you're going to mark the 2-inch mark and 3-inch mark, and that's where you'll put the pen loop when we get to that step. So using my ruler, I'm going to mark 2 inches and 3 inches down from the top. I'm just flipping over to, because I am using a directional print, so we want to make sure that we're marking 2 inches and 3 inches down from the top, and this is the top of the right pocket piece. We want to do the same on the side with the curve. So I'm going to measure down and mark at the 2-inch mark and 3-inch. I'm going to be using the Giardini brand of edge paint, and it requires a base coat. So I'm going to apply that first, and once that's dry, then I'll apply the color. And I will be applying it to the area where I'm going to be attaching the pen loop. So between the 1-inch mark right here, along the edge, on this side, as well as on this side right here, on the right pocket. I'm also going to be applying it to the straight edges of the left pocket and the right pocket. And you want to let that dry before you move on to the next step. Once the edge paint is dry, we can set the main exterior and the left pocket aside. We have those done, and we're going to stitch right underneath the slit and pull our threads to the back. Just stitch 1/8 inch down from the book slot right here. Don't back stitch, we're going to pull the threads to the back. Before you start sewing, make sure you have long enough threads to pull back and tie at the back. Once you have that done, flip it over and just pull on those threads, and it'll help you to pull the other threads from the front. I'm going to use my purple thing tool and just pull that out. Go ahead and knot those threads. We're going to continue working on assembling the pockets. You'll need your 2 pocket linings and double-sided tape. We're using 1/4 inch double-sided tape. So take one pocket lining, and with the wrong side facing up, you're going to apply double-sided tape along the straight edge. Once that's applied, remove the paper backing from the double-sided tape and fold the straight edge back 1/4 inch. And press down and the tape will hold it in place. You have one side done. Let's repeat it for the other pocket lining. Now let's take the left pocket and grab one of our pocket linings, and we're going to put them wrong sides together. So straight edges should be lined up, and we're going to clip them in place using some Waldo clips. Let's repeat for the right pocket. Now we're going to top stitch along the straight edges using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. So let's take this to the machine. Next, grab your main lining, and we're going to flip it so the wrong side is facing up, and cut a strip of double-sided tape and place along the flaps, right along the edge of the two flaps. Once you've done that, remove the backing of the double-sided tape and fold the flaps back 1/2 inch so the edge is flush with the rest of the lining. And press that down so it's secure, and repeat with the other side. Set aside and grab your main exterior. Once you have your main exterior, flip it so the wrong side is facing up. We're going to be securing the firm stabilizer. I'm using cardboard. We're going to be securing that to the back of the main exterior. You can use fabric glue and place it onto the Decovil light and put these down securely following the measurements in the pattern. I will be using some double-sided tape. So now that you've applied your glue or put some strips of double-sided tape on the back of the main exterior, we're going to remove the backing and place the first piece of firm stabilizer down. So we want it to be about 3/8 of an inch from the top, the side, and the bottom, so from the outer edges. So grab your ruler, make sure that measures about 3/8 of an inch. Yep, and press it down firmly, and repeat for the other side. And you should have about a 1 1/4 inch gap in the middle between the two pieces of firm stabilizer. Before we put our main lining on top of the firm stabilizer, if you're going to be adding the pen loop, you want to go ahead and put that in now. So grab your pen loop, fold it in half. Let me grab a Waldo clip. And we want to sew 7/8 of an inch away from the folded edge to baste it down. So we're just going to baste just the elastic by itself. Measure 7/8 of an inch in from the folded side. The elastic is now basted in place. we're going to position it between that 1-inch mark because I'm using 1-inch white elastic, and it should be, the fold should be 5/8 of an inch out from the edge of the vinyl. So I'm setting up my ruler right at the bottom mark on the vinyl, and I'm going to place it so that it is 5/8 of an inch out. You don't want it to be too far out because then it won't hold your pen securely in place. And I have another piece of double-sided tape. I'm just going to position right over it to hold it in place. Perfect. And then we can add some other strips of double-sided tape around the foam stabilizer, and we'll put the next layer on top, which will be the main lining. Now grab your main lining. That's the piece with the flaps folded over to the wrong side. You want to position the main lining on top of the foam stabilizer, lining it up with the main exterior. You don't want to have an overhang on any of the sides, so start removing the double-sided tape and pressing it down. Now we have our main exterior, the stabilizer in between, and the main lining attached. We want to get our right pocket, and we're going to clip that in place, lining up the outer edges. So the right pocket is the one with the slit here, and we're going to line it up on this side with the pocket, with the pen holder. And especially if you're working with directional prints, you want to make sure that you have everything set in the correct direction. And we're going to do this one after. Let's go ahead and just pin the right pocket in place first. The right side is clipped in place. Last thing we need to do is position the left side. And once we get to the corner, we're also going to add the clear vinyl for the card slot pocket. Let's go ahead and clip everything in. And you want to make sure you have about a 1-inch gap in the middle. Now that all of the layers are clipped in place, we want to take it to the machine, top stitch 1/8 of an inch around the outer edge, back stitching at the top pocket openings and the bottom pocket openings, as well as the pen loop. Use the hand crank and slow down when going around the curves. Now that we've top stitched around the outer edge, we're almost done. You do want to check along the edge if there's any overhang. I have a little bit right here. It can shift as you're sewing around through all the layers. I'm going to grab my cutting mat, my rotary cutter, move my elastic pen loop out of the way, and just trim off any overhang. And just check around the rest of the wallet if you have any uneven edges. And then you can apply edge paint if you like. Once your edge paint is dry, you can now close the server book, and depending on the thickness of the materials you used inside, the firm stabilizer you're interfacing, you might need to put a heavy book on top of it to help it hold its shape, so that way it stays closed. And then you're all done. Thank you for following along with me in this video making the Where's Waldo server book. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. You can find the link to our website to purchase the pattern in the description box below. Be sure to share your creations in the Serendipity Patterns Facebook group, and happy sewing!